So brand suitability has actually been in place for a really long time. If you look at linear TV, all the brands have do not air lists.
I worked for premium publishers who had their own newsrooms, 800 journalists and editors producing 500 to 1,000 pieces of content a day. We controlled it on our own platform, and we had our own tagging for advertising, all of that. And we had issues, right? You could, a hotel accidentally runs in a plane crash story, or maybe a consumer electronic brand runs in a story about their competitor or negative about them. It's just, it happened in that environment.
What digital does is add a whole level of volume and complexity to that, because there's so many sources of content.
Look at, YouTube, but there'll be 15,000 new uploads onto YouTube during this panel right now. So the scale is just enormous, and the diversity in content is enormous, which is why it's YouTube is the most vital video platform in the world. But that living, breathing element of it and the vast scale also makes it something that's important to ensure that brands are around the type of content that is right for them.
You have to scrutinize what is brand appropriate.
And when you're talking about billions of views, tens of millions of creators, and the living, breathing element and the frequency and velocity that content is put on the platform, humans can't catch that. It's just simply not going to happen. You must have a machine that does it. So we rely on our machine in order to read the data. We have to look at audio transcriptions. We have to look at creator data. We look at historic performance data. We have to do it in 39, 40 languages, which is what we do. And the humans will spot check throughout in order to make the tech better, but it's 90% the technology platform. It's customized for each and every advertiser, agency, or campaign for that matter.
There's what you plan for, there's the inclusion list, the exclusion list that we apply, and they are custom by client. But it's also really important to make sure that the ads ran in inventory that you're proud to monetize and that you're proud to have your brand support.
So between COVID-19 and all the misunderstanding around the pandemic, this issue of Black Lives Matter, and the constant feed of news, how do you make those choices? How do you manage that? Like what's going on from your perspective?
Even before COVID and before Black Lives Matters and the current Black Lives Matter and protesting and George Floyd, news was getting very hurt in our industry by over application of either exclusion lists or just clients who said, I don't want to go anywhere near news. Who's gotten hurt worse than anybody is local news. It's very important that people understand what's going on with, local illness for COVID, or here's a place to meet for a local rally to protest against racism in the United States.
Technology exists to do it much more laser targeting and scalpel-like. You don't have to say no news. If there's things in the news that aren't appropriate for your particular brand, then we have the ability to protect from those.
Keeping the words that are, proactive activism or, hope for COVID patients. We have actually reduced blocking on news by 85% in the last 2 months, which I think is just positive news for our industry. It's not just a question of making sure they don't suppress, but what do we lean into? Because we want to make sure that we're supporting all communities.